What's going on, everybody? This is Jan716, aka Jan Sports, back here with another video. And today, I'm going to quickly recap signing day for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Of course, I'll talk about some other teams in another video, but Alabama dominated recruiting, and they have just signed the greatest recruiting class, not just in Alabama history, but they have just signed the greatest recruiting class in sports, in sports in general, for football wise at least. I don't know about basketball and all that stuff like that, but for football, they've just signed the greatest recruiting class in college football history, surpassing the 2010 Florida Gators with. Previously, it was 26 guys when Kamar Wheaton officially signed with the Alabama Crimson Tide, but now they got a commitment from Terrion Arnold a little bit earlier today, which would have made it 27 guys. And Terrion Arnold was one of their top priority targets. And yes, 327 is the score for the 24/7 composite. Again, I love using 24/7 composite, but just in case, I did check on Rivals and I checked on ESPN, and again, I think they broke the records for those type of recruiting classes. So Alabama not only winning the national title, but they won the national recruiting title, and they have produced the greatest recruiting class of all time during a pandemic. I mean, this was just one hell of a. This arguably could have been the best year for Alabama as far as football ever. And again, we've had a bunch of good years, but this literally could have been the best year for Alabama football that you could possibly imagine. Now, again, you won the national title, you went undefeated, and you did it in an all-conference schedule. Then you went ahead during a pandemic with no visits from these kids and from these coaches to these families. You couldn't make any visits. All you did was Skype, and you went ahead and produced the greatest recruiting. Well, Nick Saban produced the greatest recruiting class of all time. Unbelievable. But just quickly talking about some of these kids that are a part of this class. Bama right now has 14 enrollees. They have 7 5-star guys. Only one of them is not in campus. No, I'm sorry. Only 3 of those guys are not in campus, and that's Kamar Wheaton, Damian Payne, and Dallas Turner. Some of the guys that also enrolled. Just talk about some of the impact players. Again, Ja'Cory Brooks is a 5-star guy. Ajia Hall is a 4-star guy, but I think is a big contributor. Christian Leary is also enrolled. J.C. Latham, Tommy Brockemeyer, and just so many other guys that are just enrolled enrolled, and that can definitely make a huge impact for the spring. I know Alabama. That's one thing that we honestly wish we could honestly seen was the spring game. This year, you get to see 14 guys in action during the spring game if it does continue to happen. I don't know if it's going to be canceled or if it's going to potentially continue, or if it's going to happen. I don't know if they want to take that risk. But if the spring game does happen, I'm very excited to see how these players will play, especially most importantly at the receiving position, right? We look at the receivers. John Mechie's the only guy that's solidified. Slade Bolden's more of a slot guy, but I don't even think he's kind of solidified that spot yet. I think every spot is open besides John Mechie's spot, which is going to be playing at the Z. Right, so everybody else is open season, and Alabama has its top 3 receivers already on deck for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So that is absolutely huge. That is absolutely huge for not only for Nick Saban, but for the team to kind of see what these freshmen look like. Because again, you got a speedster in Christian Leary that a lot of people kind of label as the next Jalen Waddle. You have a Gia Hall, which might be probably one of the more athletic receivers that's probably ever come through the campus. And I'm just talking about from his size to his frame and just to his athletic ability. Might just be one of the more athletic wide receivers, maybe since Julio Jones. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate. Like, if you actually look at his testing numbers and just look at his size and his frame, it's very close to what Julio Jones kind of replicated when he was coming out of Foley when he went to Alabama. So I'm very excited to kind of see him play. Ja'Cory Brooks is more of a defined receiver, a very good route runner, guy that kind of is probably the most prep receiver out of all of them. As far as him coming in, again, I think the only knock about him is that he's not the greatest athlete right now. Only ran a 4.8, but of course, Dr. Matt Rhea, David Ballou, hopefully they can work with him and make him into an even more refined and just a better overall receiver. So I'm very excited to kind of see him play. Another thing that Alabama was able to do really great for this recruiting class was recruit the offensive line. The greatest offensive line, well, not the greatest, but, maybe it is the greatest offensive line recruiting class that I think Nick Saban and Alabama's ever put up. And I think in general in college sports, J.C. Latham, Terrence Ferguson, Jaden Roberts, look at the Brockemeyer brothers. I mean, it's unbelievable what Alabama did at that particular offensive line skill position. I mean, it's crazy what they did there. I mean, again, you get 5 or 6 guys, And three of them are, and two of those guys are five-star guys, and two of those guys are the top players in their position. I mean, Tommy Brockermeyer is the number two offensive tackle, five-star guy, number 5 nationally. JT Latham is the number 2 player, all of nationally. And again, when we talk about who's going to win that offensive tackle spot, who's going to take, Evan Neal, he's going to get kicked to left tackle. Right tackle is available. You look at some of those guard positions. That's where Terrence Ferguson and Jaden Robertson kind of fight for. I think center is not yet, even though we all think that it's going to be Chris Owens, it's still not an established position. And James Brockermeyer is already on campus. So, and he's the number 1 overall center. So this is a great opportunity for these young men to come in there and show what they got. Really show what they got. And I think only Jaden Roberts is the only guy that's not even on campus yet. So that is exciting that literally all 5-year linemen, except for Jaden Roberts, is not even on that campus yet, which is absolutely insane. They were also able to fill in some other positions of need. Again, look at the, adding in a little bit of some extra defensive line depth, like, getting guys like Damian Payne and Anquan Barnes, who I think is a very underrated 3-star guy, a guy that I wouldn't be shocked at all if he kind of becomes that DJ Dale, Malachi Moore type of player that just comes out of nowhere. Anquan Barnes is a very underrated player coming out of Alabama. Damian Payne is a 5-star defensive tackle coming out of Michigan that is a very high impactful player. I made a video about him a little earlier on this year. You look at the quarterback position. I feel like, again, with Mac Jones leaving out a little bit and some players entering the transfer portal, you only got 2 quarterbacks really on your roster right now that's able to compete for a starting job. This is where you're getting a guy like Jalen Milroe coming out of Texas, right? Competed at the 6A division, which is the toughest division in all of Texas high school football classification. So getting a guy like Jalen Milroe coming out of Tompkins High School, which is in Katy, which by the way they actually did beat Katy for the district title. You got to give a lot of credit to Nick Saban of able to really kind of pull him off from Texas. Now, granted, he was meaning to leave Texas for a while, but still getting another quarterback to add to the pile. Might not start his true freshman year, but a guy that could compete for the future. He's a dual threat guy. He's a guy that knows how to make plays with his legs, can definitely improve his pocket awareness and just overall consistency with his footwork. But again, he's a true freshman for a reason, so I'm excited to kind of see what he can pull away. So yeah, just with this entire, there's so many other guys that you can label for this recruiting class. It just doesn't make any sense. Again, Dallas Turner, edge rusher guy that you get. You look at Ian Jackson from Prattville. Just so many guys, man, that Alabama has done. They've just done a great job, not only of just getting the best talent, but they've also filled the position of need at the areas that we definitely need those positions. So Alabama was able to kill it there. But I would say the most surprising signing was definitely Kamar Wheaton. I did not see that one coming. I know a lot of people say it was between Alabama and Oklahoma. It was a 2-man race. But still, just like how last year, how they pulled off with, oh my God, what's his name? Jace McKellen, how they pulled off with Jace McKellen. No one expected Jace McKellen to go to Alabama. So they did the same exact thing with Kamar Wheaton against Oklahoma, which is crazy. And again, if Kamar Wheaton would have went to Oklahoma, who knows? He could have been a starter. Honestly, could have been a starter as a true freshman, or at least would have been a huge part of the rotation. The running back position, it's not filled. It's not solidified. You don't know who's the number 1. You don't know who's the number 2 or the number 3 or number 4 guy. So this is a good chance for Kamar Wheaton, who I believe is probably going to come in during the summertime, and maybe he could compete to try to get a big role on the football field. So definitely a surprising pick, but just overall, just a great class, the greatest recruiting class in college football history, and another reason why Nick Saban is the GOAT. Again, 1 year with this coaching staff, 1 year with the entire coaching staff back, and he was able to produce this. I know definitely coaches were able to leave, and I'm going to make a video talking about some of the coaches and how I feel about those coaches now that we've kind of get a general feel of what we're going to be looking like in 2021. But just incredible what Nick Saban was able to do during a pandemic. 13-0, getting a team 13-0, 3 Heisman finalists, countless award winners, countless All-Americans, 13-0 national champion, and now in a pandemic, you produce the greatest recruiting class of all time to add to Nick Saban's historic college football resume. Unbelievable. But anyway, guys, if you guys liked the video, make sure to like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, especially with more college football content. Again, we definitely just would appreciate it. Definitely just helps out the channel a lot. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Jan 716 again, Just Sports. Have a good night. Peace.